So again, Henry Patterson, welcome back to the fourth induction for the Lorain School's distinguished alumni. And if for a moment, we always invite the mayor of our fair city, Jack Bradley, if you'd like to come forward and say a few words to kick this thing off for us. Mayor Jack Bradley.
So, good morning, everyone. It's a great day in Lorain, Ohio. I'm going to say that again. It is a great day in Lorain, Ohio. I mean, we've got the International Festival going on. We've got a parade scheduled at 11:30, and we're honoring distinguished graduates from Lorain City Schools. That's something. Plus, we're at a great venue. I mean, whoever thought that we would have a venue like this in the city of Lorain, Ohio? This is part of our rebirth. We're going through a renaissance, and hopefully it's going to continue. So I was thinking, you know, what is a distinguished graduate? Well, a distinguished graduate is a leader. And, you know, I was at a Rotary meeting this week, and Mark Ballard was over there, and he talked about a little bit about leadership. And I said, well, you know, what makes a great leader? Well, a great leader is someone who inspires others. And the distinguished graduates that we have here today are all people that have inspired others throughout their life. Now, I have a personal story that happened about 35 years ago. And my dad had just passed away, and my mom was kind of depressed. And so my wife and I said, you know, we need to do something with Mom to kind of cheer her up a little bit. And so I was talking to Judge Joe Sirigliano, and I said, you know, what's something that I could do for my mom that would kind of cheer her up? And he said, you know, he said, I heard that Paula Scriffano was performing in Chicago in the musical Evita. He says, why don't we go to Chicago and see Evita? And I said, man, that's a good idea. So we got our plane tickets, and I took my wife, my mom, Joe Sirigliano, his wife Beverly, and my daughter Jacqueline. And I'm telling you, this was like an unbelievable performance of Evita. And so I took my daughter after the performance to the stage door. And we waited for Paula to come out after her performance, and she spent a few minutes talking to my daughter Jacqueline. And I'd like to think that, you know, Jacqueline was only 8 years old then. And because of her seeing Paula perform and seeing Paula, you know, give her that inspiration that anybody can do it if they really put their heart to it, that showed true leadership. And that's why Paula is a distinguished graduate from Lorain City Schools, and also why all of you who are being honored today are distinguished graduates. It's not really what you do, it's how you inspire others. So continue to inspire, because I'm sure that there are going to be future distinguished graduates being inducted because of all of you. So thank you for being here today, and continue to be Lorain proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bradley. And now, Dr. Graham, if you would please come forward, who is our, it's superintendent, right? Or is it, it's our superintendent of Lorain Schools. I never know. We change things from time to time. We're glad to have him back. try this one? No. What are we doing? Okay. I got you.
You're training them on this user thing. Is that better? No. Not better? A little better? Bouncing a little bit? I apologize. All right, I guess first I'd like to thank.
Can I use the other one? Is that all right? Yeah. If I talk like this, can people hear me? Yeah. That's good. All right. No, abandon plan A.
Always have a
Exactly. Thank you. I guess first I'd like to thank the First I'd like to thank the Alumni Association for inviting me to be here this morning to speak to you, but also for their leadership and their support of our students and our graduates. But in addition to my appreciation of their focus, I also appreciate their approach. I commend you for modeling who we are as a community. And let me elaborate on that. I've worked in many school districts over the years, and typically, normally, almost always, the alumni associations demonstrate separation. They demonstrate an us versus them mentality. When I was in one school district, we had 3 high schools. Each one had their own alumni association, never talked to each other, and they kind of did their own thing. So we had the haves and the have-nots. And I'm not being negative. It was a great school district, great community, and it was the norm. That's how alumni associations typically operate. But now you're in Lorraine. What we chose to do was demonstrate unity. We chose to come together and collectively celebrate our finest, our most distinguished. And yet for that, I want to thank the leadership of our Alumni Association. And now, thank you. And now on to our distinguished alumni. I'd like to add my congratulations to everyone else's for how you chose to live your lives. I appreciate the hard work that you did that went into distinguishing you at the peak of achievement in your respective field, and also for representing the city of Lorain so proudly. And at the superintendent of schools, you can probably imagine that I have been invited to a lot of these ceremonies who are celebrating the accomplishments of others. And typically, almost always, inevitably, those side conversations before the meetings, you hear things like, I hate this stuff. I hate being the center of attention. And Carl actually was part of his bio. He talked about how much he hates being the center of attention. So I thought it was appropriate to call you out in the middle of it, right? Hate being the center of attention. But the conversation I have afterwards is typically the same. Although this is about you, it's not really about you. It's about everybody who wants to celebrate and clap for you and cheer for you because of the great things you did and how they connect with that. Some of the people in this room, husbands and wives, mothers and fathers, and sons and daughters, want to clap for you. Your graduating class, your high schools. I guarantee there are people telling stories about that. Yeah, I went to high school with her. Oh yeah, she was in my class. People like to make those connections. And for a city who is just proud that you're representing them, us, in the way that you are. And there's also a high school full of complete strangers who, to the mayor's point, who aspire to be you. And I got to tell you, that's a big part of what this event is all about. Because you are the evidence that this is possible. You and your story dictate the fact that they can get there from here. You guys all walk the same streets. You have some of the same teachers. You ate the same cake cream. There is no reason why they can't excel and accomplish at the same level you did. There is no reason why they can't do what you did. As I mentioned, I've been in several different school districts. Some wealthy, some not so much. Some considered to be very high performing, and some have struggled. But I can tell you, I met a lot of high school students along the way. And the one thing, one of many things they had in common is their fear of what comes next. What comes after graduation? They ask questions like, can I?
or what should I dream, or what can I dream, or what's realistic for me, in my future. And again, to the mayor's point, what you've accomplished, you and your story, answers that question. They need to dream big to realize their full potential. They can get there from here. They should dream big. They can dream big. What's realistic for them is success. It comes down to maximizing their potential. And bear with me, I'm not much of a storyteller, but there's a great king. And he went to his own wise man and he said, tell me, who is the greatest general in the land? The wise man said, my highness, that's easy. It's that man right there. The king said, no, I know that guy. He's just a commoner. The wise man said, yes, my king. But you've been the greatest general in the land. You can't be a general. Our goal, our job, is to get kids to realize their full potential. Whether the kid's going to be a general, that student's going to be a teacher, or a doctor, or an astronaut, or a bank president, our job as a school district is to help them find that path. You inspire them to know that they can walk that path. That path is not too big for them. With the support of the Alumni Association, and again, our strategic plan focuses heavily on not just getting students to graduation, but what happens afterwards, making sure they have the supports they need to get to where they need to be, to make sure they know, and make sure they get there from here. So I want to thank you one more time for all that you've accomplished. But I also want to thank Carl, and those of you who did the uncomfortable to make sure that we're allowed to share your stories so our students for generations can experience the success that you did. Because after all, just like our students today, there was a time when you're just a bunch of kids running around Lorain worried about what you can do after graduation. So thank you for support. I hope to see you today at the bus.
Okay, now it is my privilege to turn the ceremony over to our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Jay Ferguson.
This is one of the highlights of my year because I get to see the products of Lorain City Schools. And as a former teacher in Lorain schools, I got to witness a lot of good young people come through here. And unfortunately, we're not known, we don't get recognized for the best. But you are the best. And it's a great pleasure to be here to honor all of you. Dr. Brian Amison is a 1988 graduate of Admiral King High School. During high school, he excelled academically as evidenced by his graduating with honors and President of National Honor Society and regular honors from the Lorain County Alliance of Black School Educators. In addition to excelling academically, he was a standout athlete on the football field and baseball diamond. He earned all first-team All-Erie Shore Conference for football and baseball and earned a football scholarship to Kent State University. He still remembers his 109-yard kickoff return his senior year against Sandusky, his parents' high school. And yes, we did fit it in. He wanted to make sure. Following high school, he was awarded an honors college scholarship at Kent State, where he earned a BA in chemistry. He would then win the Patricia Roberts Harris postgraduate scholarship to Ohio State University to study dentistry, where he graduated in 1997. He has worked as a dentist in the Canton area for the past 20 years, received the Robert M. Duncan Distinguished Alumni Award from Ohio State University, that's the Ohio State University, excuse me, and was a speaker for Lorain County Alliance of Black School Educators. Please welcome Dr. Brian Amison to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame.
Good morning. Well, first of all, I said I was going to be long-winded, so I'm going to keep it brief, but I want to say a couple of things off of my speech. First of all, it's so nice to see this beautiful facility. Gosh, this wasn't here when I was growing up, and what a beautiful area. So nice to see Mr. Herrmann. It's amazing that we connect again. Mr. Hayden back there was a coach for mine back when I was in doing Lorraine Police way back when I was 8 years old, which I'll talk about. Lexi, Simon, Tamika, just what a great venue. So I have a question for you. What does the word foundation mean to you? Some of you may think it's the bottom portion of a house that supports the structures above. Others may think of it as a cosmetic used as a base for makeup. There are many definitions, but they all share one common bond. A foundation is an underlying base or support, and without a solid foundation, anything built upon it will fail. I can thank Lorain and Lorraine City Schools for providing me with such a solid foundation. As you know, Lorraine is known as an international city. In fact, the mayor just alluded to it. This week is the International Festival. Growing up here allowed me to be exposed to many different people and ideas. Heck, my best friends growing up were black, white, Korean, and Puerto Rican. They called us a rainbow coalition. Being raised in Lorraine prepared me for challenges that I have faced and continue to face to this day. One of my most impactful memories involved trying out for a baseball team when I was 8 years old. Here we go, Mr. Hayden. Back then, you didn't automatically make the team. If you weren't good enough, you weren't making the squad. The harsh reality was that I wasn't very good trying out. Even though I really wanted it, I didn't put the time in to practice. So I remember that day going out for the team and just not doing anything. I was awful. But I went home hoping to get that call saying I was going to be a member of the Lorraine Baseball Youth Foundation. Unfortunately, I never got that call. My supportive parents felt horrible for me, but they gave me a choice. They said, Brian, you do one of two things. Either you could quit or you can work harder to be better. So that summer, I had to go and watch my friends play baseball while I sat in the stands and watched. Honestly, it was horrible for me. But my dad and my friend Miguel Morel really worked with me, and I put in the time. And fortunately, the next year, I was able to make the team. And get coached by Mr. Hayden back there. This taught me something very valuable. It taught me that even though if I really wanted something, I had to put in the work. It taught me to work hard, taught me to have a good work ethic, and the blue collar, work hard, and never let obstacles stand in your way. I call it the Lorraine way. I can go on for hours about the impact that Lorraine and Lorraine City Schools have had on me. It's helped to mold the person that I am today. And also I thank Lorraine City Schools and Lorraine for not only molding me, but having an impact on my family and my family's family in the future. Thank you to my family for supporting me. This would mean nothing without you taking the journey with me. So congratulations to all the newly inducted members of Lorraine Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame. Thank you to the committee for my nomination. I am truly humbled, and I pledge to continue to build up on the foundation that you have given me to make a difference in other people's lives. Thank you. Be happy, be healthy, be great.
A quick story before this next honoree. I became aware of Dr. Vernell Bennett-Fairs' accomplishments on Facebook. You see, her younger sister, was a basketball player for me back at Lorain High. So I contacted Monica, and I said, Monica, I'd really like you to complete this form for Vernell. And I got back, Coach, what about me? And I said, Monica, it's an academic thing. Dr. Vernell Bennett-Fairs is a 1986 Lorain High School graduate. While in high school, she participated in the concert choir, Choraleers, National Honor Society, Cultural Awareness Club, and Buckeye Girls State. She looks back fondly at the memories of being voted most talented by her peers and at her role performing the Mother Abbess in The Sound of Music. I remember her tremendous voice. Following high school, Dr. Bennett-Fairs earned a Bachelor of Music degree in vocal music performance from Fisk University, a Master of Arts in Vocal Performance from Eastern Michigan University, and a Doctorate of Education in Administration and Instruction from the University of Kentucky. Dr. Bennett-Fairs is currently the 13th president of Lemoyne-Owen College and the second woman selected to lead the only historically black college in Memphis, Tennessee. Dr. Bennett-Fairs' career spans 26 years in higher education, having served as an associate professor and a college administrator. She is also a trained and accomplished vocalist and orator, but her most cherished role is that of student advocate. She has taken her passion for student engagement and programming to higher heights as president of Lemoyne-Owen College, developing LOC Days, Loving Our Community, to strengthen and expand the relationship with the South Memphis community. Additionally, the inaugural 807 Day, the college's single highest day of giving, was launched. Dr. Bennett-Fairs spent the first 20 years of her career at Kentucky State University. She has served as vice president for student affairs at Delta State University, where she transformed DSU's Office of Admissions Recruitment Operations and Marketing, and developed collaborations across the campus and community that created pipelines for recruitment and increased student engagement and program offering. A former who's who among college and university professors, she has been recognized by the Memphis Business Journal as the 2021 Superwoman in Business, and most recently as MBJ's 22 Power 100. She is alum of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities Millennium Leadership Initiative and AASCU's New President's Academy. She was also a member of the inaugural cohort for Higher Education Leadership Foundation and the United Negro College Fund's Presidential Leadership Institute. She is married to Patrick Fairs and has one adult son, Jeffrey. Please welcome Dr. Vernell Bennett-Fairs to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame.
Good morning. Thank you for reaching out on Facebook to Monica, Mr. Ferguson. Oh, it's so great to be home. So I first want to recognize publicly God for the blessings that brought me to this prestigious honor. And no matter where I go, this will always be most special when those at home recognize and uplift you. And I was telling Mark yesterday that no matter where I go, when someone asks, where are you from? I always say, Lorain, Ohio. You know, I have other individuals that I've traveled with that sometimes they'll say the closest, largest recognizable city, but I'm not from Cleveland. So I say, I'm from Lorain, Ohio, and sometimes they'll say, well, where is that? And I'll say, well, that's about 28 miles west of Cleveland. To the Lorain Schools Association, Alumni Association, thank you. To my family, my brother who was with me for 3 of those years, thank you. My sister-in-law, my longest friend, Teresa, we've been friends since elementary school, and she and her family walked in, thank you. Mark and Sandra, class of '86. You know, much of who I am, that foundation, my distinguished other honoree talked about the foundation. The foundation that I have that has enabled me to do some wonderful things, it was cultivated here in Lorain. Some of my fondest memories are the International Festival, or the parade, or musicals at the high school. But those individuals poured into me, and that example is what I've used throughout my career. The teachers, the counselors, the Girl Scout troop leaders, those people who saw something in me and encouraged it and supported it. So I'm just beyond honored, most grateful and humbled. Thank you for this wonderful honor. I will always proudly represent Lorain, Ohio.
Just so Monica sees the picture. Thank you. Elaine Georges is a 1980 graduate of Admiral King High School. While in high school, she was a football and basketball cheerleader. Her favorite memories centered around Senior Popeil's Spanish class, the cookies in the cafeteria, and the 1980 run for the state championship by the boys' basketball team, and all the lifelong friendships she formed as an admiral. After high school, Elaine received her Associate of Arts degree from Lorain Community College and her Bachelor of Science in Finance degree from Cleveland State University. Throughout her career, Elaine has been a professional grant writer. She has helped to secure $14 million in local, state, and federal monies for Lorain County to enhance prevention, treatment, and recovery supports for individuals with substance use disorders and/or mental illnesses. She was instrumental in bringing Ohio's recovery-oriented systems of care to local communities. Elaine is a strong advocate that substance abuse use disorders and mental illnesses are chronic diseases that can be treated and recover as possible. Elaine was the founder of the Communities That Care of Lorain County, Lorain County's drug-free community coalition, and it is definitely worth noting that Elaine has 30 years of public service in Lorain County. She was the former executive director of Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services Board of Lorain County. She retired as the executive director emeritus of Mental Health, Addiction, and Recovery Services Board of Lorain County. A lifelong resident of Lorain, Elaine has been a member of the Lorain Rotary Club and has served as secretary and treasurer. She has also worked on the Lorain Rotary Club Memorial Scholarship Fund. Elaine is a member of St. Nicolas Greek Orthodox Church in Lorain. Her husband, the late Andrew Georgas, was the original owner of the Garden Basket and was a member of Admiral King High School's class of 1979. They have one son, Peter. Please welcome Elaine Georges to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Jay. I'd like to thank the nominating committee and the Alumni Association for recognizing my work and the history of me being a hometown gal in Lorain, Ohio. I grew up just down the street from what was Admiral King High School. We were in one of those neighborhoods we could stay out all summer days and everyone looked out for each other. We rode our bikes to Westgate Plaza, O'Hara's for our bubble gum, and Central Park, to play in the playground. So just think about, growing up in this city and where we've been. I remember the band marching down my street. I was actually terrified when they'd come down, but it was kind of fun. Fireworks at George Daniel Field during 4th of July. Kind of those memories when I was thinking back about, my life in this city where I'm proud to keep it as my hometown. As a graduate of Admiral King, I have fond memories of my high school experience. Teachers that provided me a great education, and a lot of times I couldn't even open my locker. I needed help with little things that got me along the way. The friendships, the basketball team that we talked about, Mr. Popeil's Spanish class, not only for my Spanish acumen, but also that is where I met my future husband, which was kind of cool. My college career kept me around this area, and I didn't plan to work at a career in public services. Worked at Burger King, worked at a law firm, and ended up at a nonprofit. That's where I understood how the connection of nonprofits and public services came to play. I continued my relationship at the Addis Board with all kinds of partners, including mayors and city leaders, schools, anybody, families, to help people struggling with addiction from substance abuse. One of the great examples of the collaborations was working with Sal Rivera, Sheriff Stamiti, our health commissioner, and Senator Manning, who got Lorain County in as a pilot to provide police as first responders to carry naloxone, a life-saving device to prevent overdoses. With all of that advocacy, the second week we had that in our county, our first responders saved 18 lives in a 2-day period for people that overdose. That's just something that just continued to mark to me the impact of the collaboration and the necessity of the work we do. I wouldn't be getting this recognition along with those who've not been on my side all along. My mother, who's here, unconditionally took care of my son whenever I needed to. I had to go to meetings, I had to go to conferences, and she was always there. She's my idol, and I strive every day to be half of who she is, so thank you. My cousins, other family members, and my pastor, who's also here. You've always been there for me, and for that I also thank you. They say it takes a village, and that was certainly tested for me and my son when in 2012 my husband passed away unexpectedly. Through the love and support of my close family and circle, my son and I have continued to grow and move forward as a strong family unit. I'm proud of my son, and he's strong along the way, and it's something that he now knows of the history of this community. Public service isn't for the faint of heart, but it's quite rewarding in countless ways. While I now miss the work and the people who I connected with, I'm eager to move along and find adventures to fulfill my days, including volunteering. I'm proud to have been recognized in my efforts, and much like a stone thrown into the sea, I hope that my ripples have made a difference in our community. Thank you.
Jeremy M. Goldberg is a member of the Lorain Admiral King High School class of 1998. As a high school student, Jeremy was very involved in all facets of student activities. He was a varsity athlete on the soccer and tennis teams, as well as a member of the freshman basketball program. He had several editorial and opinion pieces published relating to civics and education, foreshadowing his career work. Jeremy hosted a voter registration drive in the cafeteria that included a visit from then Congressman Sherrod Brown. He also fondly remembers his AP English Literature classes with Thomas Hill Cisco, who he credits for deepening his appreciation of English literature and improving his approach to studying and his work ethic. Following high school, Jerry matriculated to the University of Texas in Austin, receiving a BA in 2003 and proceeding to the University of San Francisco for a master's degree in 2012. Following college, Jeremy has served many roles in the public sector, including Deputy Chief of Staff for the City of San Jose in charge of Civic Innovation, Director Innovation and Partnerships, and Director Startup in Residence, State Financial Director, Chief Justice Eric Brown for Ohio, Founder and Executive Director, Global Youth Partnership for Africa, Science, Technology, and Innovation Consultant to the World Bank, and others. His volunteer experiences are also many. Vice Chairman, Board of Managers for Bayview Hunters Point, YMCA of San Francisco, and District 2 Representative to the Parks and Recreation and Open Space Advisory Committee for the City and County of San Francisco. Jeremy has a stack of scholarly articles published in a variety of places. He has received the American Jewish Committee Goldman Fellowship and the Congressman Bill Archer Fellowship, the Aspen Institute Ideas Festival Fellowship and was recognized as the city and state of New York's #2 on the top 50 list of technology and government leaders. Currently, Jeremy is serving as a Harvard University Innovation Fellow as part of the Bloomberg Center. Jeremy currently works at Microsoft, serving as Worldwide Public Sector Director of Critical Infrastructure. Please welcome Jeremy Goldberg to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame. And if I could, I'd like to direct your attention to the screen up above.
I'm just a kid from Lorain, Ohio, west of Cleveland. This is my birthplace, and it's an honor to be recognized as Lorain School's Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame inductee for 2022. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share a bit about my journey. And it certainly wasn't done alone. It wasn't without challenges, and it wasn't without questions and fears about whether or not someone like me from a small city could make it in this big world. I'm reminded of the unassuming Black River. The Black River is small. It's only 12 miles long. It starts in the city of Elyria, and it flows north past Sheffield and into the city of Lorain, not too far from where you are holding this ceremony today, and then enters the Great Lake Erie. We're all riding the currents, the flows of life, and mine began here in Lorain. My father, Sherwin, is the son of the late Hyman Goldberg and Frances Brown Goldberg, and the grandson of Philip and Rebecca Goldberg, Jewish immigrants from Poland and Lithuania, who journeyed across the Atlantic to Ellis Island. These were choppy waters coming to America, and especially acclimating to a new life and a new world. The family eventually settled in Lorain, and they established a wonderful life here. Their children went on to set up supermarkets, a law practice, and a synagogue. Today, my ancestors are smiling, a son of Lorain receiving this incredible honor. And like the waters flowing down the Black River, my young life is full of stories that have been currents carrying me to this point. Now, these stories are really experiences, which is all that we have. That's what we carry with us along the way in our life. These experiences for me included so many people from this city and so many places across the US and around the world. I'm not here today without you and not able to share this story without them, because the laughs, the losses, the learning, the challenges, and the victories are not real without them. It's Lorain's educational excellence and people like Mrs. Vargas, my kindergarten teacher at Meister Road. It's Mrs. Krakis, my first grade teacher at Palm Academy. Mrs. Dotson, my fourth grade teacher at Lowell Elementary School. Mr. Ambrosio, my seventh grade teacher at Whittier. And Mr. Sis, my photography club instructor, and Mr. Tom Cisco, my AP English teacher in 11th grade. And of course, it's people at Agudith B'nai Israel Synagogue, from Brian Jaffe to Sheila Evanchek to Mr. Erwin Froman, and so many other educators. And at every turn in the river, my family has been the constant, steadfast, the strongest current in the river. It's my mom and dad who went above and beyond, outside their means, raised us in a Jewish home, and instilled honesty, resilience, discipline, and love, which continues to this day. It's my sisters, Allison and Rebecca, who have always been role models for me. Strong, resilient women who continue to succeed professionally and are inspiring at the same time in their dedication as parents. It's my kids, Marco, who is 9 years old, and Gianna, who is 3.5 years old. They energize me to think and question the world in new ways, and of course, demonstrate the beauty of kindness and curiosity. And it's been my wife and partner, Vanessa. She's been there throughout, caring, loving, sacrificing, and encouraging me to think differently about an issue, a topic, or an opportunity to positively help and impact people with humility, with decency, and with compassion, the way she also lives her life. She's been there through every season, the stress, the moves, the political appointments, the wins and the losses, and of course during lockdown in 2020, when I was working for the state of New York during the first wave of the COVID pandemic. Vanessa, thank you. I'm deeply grateful for you. As I think about the next steps of my life, the months, the years, the work, and the issues ahead, we are in challenging times, but I am optimistic. There is so much more out there, more to experience, more work to be done to care for our world. The water still flows in my stories, and those of so many others are the tributaries for the next generation of young people graduating from Lorain City schools, who will also go on in pursuit to make a difference in their community, their city, and the world. Thank you so much again for this wonderful opportunity and honor, and congratulations to all of today's honorees.
I'm going to ask Mr. Georges to come forward and accept the award.
A few weeks ago, when Jeremy contacted me via email asking me to accept this award in his honor, I said to him in reply via email as well that I would be honored to accept this. I mean, when I first encountered Jeremy as a student, and I'm including other teachers as well, I'm including Jay Ferguson, Bob Braskage, Paul Bieber, Laura Meyer, Bob Jones, whom we refer to fondly as Jonesy. We knew the first time we encountered him that he was something extraordinary. He was going to do great things in his life. He was vivacious, he was intelligent, he was always on the move. He always wanted to be involved with something that's going to be doing something good for the school at Admiral King. So it was great knowing that, seeing him what he has done, and you can tell by his bio in your brochure that you have before you. So, and I told him via email as well that you deserve this very much. So, in conclusion, Sandy and Sherman, if you are listening out there, know this: you raised a good man. You should be proud of him and what he has accomplished in his life. Thank you.
Janelle Jones was a 2002 graduate of Lorain Southview. She's also a graduate of the prestigious Spelman College, where she received a degree in mathematics and holds a master's degree in applied economics from Illinois State University. Janelle made history on January 20th, 2001, when she was appointed as the first black woman to be chief economist for the Department of Labor by President Joe Biden. Prior to becoming the new chief economist, she served as the managing director of policy and research for Groundwork Collaborative, a DC-based think tank that works to identify systemic inequities in economic policies and supports activists that are on the ground bringing issues into the fold. As a rising economist, Jones increased her presence on the public radar when she originated the term Black Woman Best while still at the Groundwork Collaborative. It is a philosophy built around the premise that when we advance the economic status of black women, the nation collectively will get closer to economic equity across the board. Jones' resume also includes being an economic analyst at the Economic Policy Institute through 2018, where her work focused on a variety of labor market topics within the EPI's program on race, ethnicity, and economy. and the Economic Analysis Research Network, where she worked as a research associate on topics including racial inequality, unemployment, job quality, unions. Her research has been cited in The New Yorker, The Economist, Harper's, The Washington Post, The Review of Black Political Economy, and other publications. She has worked as an economist at the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Janelle also previously served as an AmeriCorps Vista volunteer in Sacramento, California, where she worked for a grassroots nonprofit focused on community health issues. Similarly, she was a Peace Corps volunteer in Peru and in the Small Business Development Program focusing on economic development. Please welcome Janelle Jones to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, Janelle was not able to be with us, but we congratulate her anyhow, and we are proud of her accomplishments. Our next honoree, Nicolas Nick Marsico, is a 1994 graduate of Admiral King High School. Nick spent his entire academic career in the Lorain City Schools and was an inaugural member of the Hawthorne Academy in the 4th grade prior to attending Admiral King. During high school, Nick was a standout student as evidenced by his 6th place class rank and was also a 4-year letter winner on the AKHS golf team. Doctors in golf. He has 2 life-shaping memories from high school that have shaped his life and career. First, taking an independent study chemistry course with William Kipp his senior year. The class provided opportunities for growth academically and in real-life scenarios dealing with politics, business, public opinion, and emphasized integrity and character. The other high school memory comes from his experience in the musical Barnum with Mrs. Merle. Though he had never been involved in any theatrical musical production prior to this event, the experience taught him about the value of stepping out of his comfort zone in order to grow as a person, something that he still uses in his personal and professional life today. Nick received a Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy cum laude from the University of Toledo. He also completed a pharmaceutical care course through Ferris State University and the University of Purdue. Following college, Nick began working as a pharmacist for Meyer in Toledo and quickly found himself developing on the administrative management track. In 2006, he became the pharmacy director of Magruder Hospital in Port Clinton, Ohio. 4 years later, he would become the administrative director of ancillary services, and by 2013, he would ascend to become the vice president of ancillary services at Magruder. In 2016, Marcico was promoted yet again to Chief Operating Officer, and in 2020, he became President and CEO at Magruder Hospital. Marcico is active in the Port Clinton community and serves on a variety of leadership posts in the healthcare industry. He currently resides in Oregon, Ohio with his wife Jen and their 2 children. Please welcome Nicolas Marsico to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame.
Good morning. What an amazing group of people to be associated with. Thank you so much to the Alumni Board. Thank you to my friend Henry Patterson up here, and thank you to my family and friends that are here supporting me. The support that I've had throughout my life has been amazing, and I really couldn't have done this without my parents and aunts and uncles and family and everyone around us. So tons of stories to share. I like some of the other folks that are up here. We have a lot of the same experiences and talk about foundation, but truly for me, the difference in growing up in Lorain was the feeling that I got from a lot of the folks that I worked with of what I could do, right? Maya Angelou said, at the end of the day, I've learned that people will forget what you say and people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you made them feel. The folks that I had the chance to work with, the teachers throughout my career, made me feel special. They gave me the confidence. They gave me the competency. They drove me to do better and the best that I could be. Similar to Mr. Amison's talk, we had this conversation in our house many times. If you don't like to lose, get better. And that focus was put to me through the schools as well. Len Milding, one of my math teachers in high school, was the first one to challenge me in high school, and I didn't like it very much, but I learned to get through it. Throughout the time there, I had a chance, and I spoke about it, or I mentioned it in my thing. Mrs. Merle, who's here today, gave me an opportunity to shine in a theatrical presentation and program that I was never involved with ever in my life, but she gave me the support, she gave me the comfort, she gave me the solace and the inclusion to bring me in, but then also challenged me to be at my best level. At the end of the day, growing up in Lorain, being around the Lorain City Schools and being involved in Lorain City Schools has made a difference in my life by giving me that confidence to step out of my comfort zone in any opportunity that comes to me. I want to take it. My career accession that was laid out here was truly due to the fact that I understand what it's like to build confidence around me. I understand what it's like to build other people up and my teams around me to do a great job. And that has led to my success. And that truly was the message from the schools today. So at the end of it, if you take one thing with you, just remember, people will always remember how you make them feel. Thank you to everyone. Have a great day.
Carl Nielsen is a 1978 graduate of Lorain High School. During Carl's high school years, he participated in freshman, junior varsity, and varsity football, along with being on the track team as a weight thrower. Carl could not participate in winter sports because he was already working in the family business from 7th grade on. He was a member of National Honor Society, aided for Tim Zente in the library, and was in the ski club. His most memorable experience was being able to miss school in order to take his pilot's license test at the age of 16. Upon his graduation from Lorain High, he attended Bowling Green State University. He completed his Bachelor of Science in Business Administration in 1982. Carl returned to Lorain to continue the legacy of family business, which has been a mainstay of downtown Lorain for the past 145 years. He operates the business with his sister, Tina Nielsen Zaworski, and now proudly has his son, Carl Gregory, to add to the generations of Nielsens in the business. This business began in 1694 in Ballum, Denmark, and has its 10th generation of Nielsens in the jewelry business and 5th generation in Lorain. Carl has contributed to Lorain and Lorain County throughout the years. He served on the Lorain County Airport Authority for 13 years, was on the Lorain Police Use of Force Committee and the Lorain Development Loan Board, and is currently serving on the Lorain Port Authority as Vice Chairman with many years of experience. He has been in the Sailing Club where he is the Commodore for 2 years, raced starboats nationally, crewing around the country for 1 year, and has had his pilot's license until marriage. Carl and Wendy Churchill Nielsen have been married for 39 years. They met in high school when he was 12 and she was 16. I just read them, folks. They have 2 children, Carl and Alex. They also have 1 granddaughter, Shaylin. Please welcome Carl Nielsen to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame. We can go back and check your form.
I have terrible handwriting.
That's what he wrote. I had to record what he wrote.
I really want to thank the association for all that you've done to put this together. This is an awesome event, so we should give them a hand. I also want to thank my favorite high school typing teacher, Sue Belika. Sue, I wish I was a better student back then. But I had a high school that was clouded and confused. I had a mother who was battling cancer. Eventually, she lost that fight and passed away finals week my freshman year at Bowling Green. But she taught us some valuable lessons. One of them was hard work, and the other one was always giving back. She felt that you should always contribute back to your community, which I very much tried to do. I met the love of my life, an East Side girl named Wendy Churchill. I don't know how great it was dating the coach's daughter at the time. But I did convince her to marry me. We've been married 39 years. And yes, I was 17 when I met her. But I really am appreciative of this award. I know when Sue nominated me for this, I said, Sue, I don't really do anything special to really deserve this. And then I found out I was going to receive it, and my first words were, I don't deserve this. There are hundreds of other people out there in our community that deserve this more than I do. But I really thank you very much. I will continue to give back to the community that I love and hope that we can all make Lorain a better place than it is in the future. Thank you.
Kathryn Molino is a 2007 graduate of Southview High School. At Southview, Kathryn was active in just about everything. She was a member of the Key Club, the National Honor Society, her president her senior year, tennis, the Trivia Club, and directed Mystery Theater during her senior year. Something that she found great value in during her high school was participating in the Model United Nations under Mr. White, where she earned 1 excellent and 2 superior awards. She also played Mary Magdalene in Jesus Christ Superstar her junior year and finished second in the Southview Idol talent competition. Following high school, she attended The Ohio State University, where she earned her bachelor's degrees in both anthropology and international studies in 3 years. She then went on to another OSU, Oklahoma State University, where she earned an MS in international studies and will earn an MA in research measurement evaluation at Louisiana State University in the summer of 2022. She is currently enrolled in a PhD program in higher education at LSU, where she hopes to defend her dissertation next spring. Her professional career is as varied as her high school and college career. She served in the Peace Corps in Kazakhstan. She has over 10 years of experience in higher education and is a published author in higher education. Well, Kathryn has enjoyed a great deal of success academically and professionally. She takes a great deal of pride in being a saint and being the first in her family to have earned a BA, an MS, and soon a PhD. Please welcome Kathryn Molino to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame.
My family wanted me to correct something. I actually won first place on the second year of Southview Idol. They reminded me of it because my mom still has the big check in the house. Like 17 years later, she probably should get rid of that. First, I would like to go ahead and thank the association, Mr. Patterson, for all of the support. Mr. Patterson and I have known each other since the Project Grad AAG program. That was around freshman year of high school for me. I also would like to thank my family. My parents have been extremely supportive of my academic career. They may not understand what I do, but that's okay, because they still support me. So for many of our distinguished alumni, a lot of y'all have, sorry, I'm from Louisiana, so I will say y'all, or I live in Louisiana now. A lot of y'all were born and raised here in Lorain. I actually moved to Lorain when I was 13 from the Philippines. So I immigrated here with my mom, and that is when I started really blossoming academically. I really was not that great of a student when I was in the Philippines, but I think there was something about the support and love in Lorain City School that really allowed me to blossom to who I am now and what I'm doing now as well. Model UN, my background was international studies, and I always wanted to work in the international arena. But after serving in the Peace Corps in Kazakhstan, I figured out that education is where my passion lies, not necessarily in teaching, but being really more of an educator in college access. So I work in a college access space right now in nonprofit at Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And really the support that I've gotten, I remember my junior year of high school, I really wasn't planning on going to Ohio State, but my high school counselor opened up this opportunity where I can spend overnight at Ohio State. And that was when I really figured out that college access is really important, and that's where my research has been. My research is around community colleges, transferring into your institution to foreign institutions, and college access space. So once again, I would like to thank all of y'all and for all of your support, and also thanking Ms. Merle over here. She's around here. Thank you so much for all of your support throughout the years as well.
It's great to see so many of these old saints that I had contact with when they were in high school. And here's another one. Giovanni Santiago-Millender is a 2004 graduate of Southview High School. During high school, Giovanni was very active. He was a letter winner in soccer, basketball, softball, and cross country. He was also a member of JRTC Honors Choir and Band. During high school, he was special memory of being runner-up for Homecoming Queen. Following high school, he enlisted in the Air Force and was honorably discharged due to a disability. He later earned an Associate of Arts degree in early childhood education, a Certificate of Life in Coaching and Mentoring, and an Associate of Arts degree in Public Administration. From an early age, Giovanni knew the importance of advocating for the rights of individuals who are marginalized. Consequently, in 2016, he founded Meta Center Incorporated, a nonprofit for transgender and gender nonconforming youth and young adults. In 2015, he also assisted the Lewis Stokes VA Hospital in creating the first ever clinic for transgender veterans in the entire VA system. He was the keynote speaker for Metro Health Transgender Job Fair in 2019, and finally, he created the first LGBTQ Youth Sports League in 2021, which is the only one in the nation. Cleveland Magazine named him among the most interesting people in 2018 and walked during New York Fashion Week in the largest LGBTQ show in 2018 and was a Cleveland Cavalier gift maker for Pride Night in 2022. Please welcome one of my favorite students, Giovanni Santiago-Millender, to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame. And again, I will direct your attention to the video screen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Giovanni Santiago, formerly last name Millander. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I just want to say thank you for allowing me to video in. I'm from this random hotel room. I apologize I cannot be in the presence of you all today, but I'm working. But I'm very thankful for this honor. It means a lot to me to be able to be recognized by the city that I grew up in, the school that I went to. High school for me was good. It was fun. I was able to be very active in a lot of sports and ROTC and the band and the choir and the Unity Club, and all of that carried with me into my adult life. Joining the military and being able to put my mark there, and then getting out of the service and becoming a teacher now to where I am, today. And for me, getting this honor as someone who is a part of the LGBTQ community and as someone who is transgender, it means so much that the city of Lorain is expansive and inclusive and thinking about those of us who are doing the work in a realm that is not widely accepted or widely recognized. And so for me to be able to put my mark on this world by assisting LGBTQ and trans-Pacific veterans with assisting in opening the Wade Park VA gift clinic and starting my own nonprofit, Meta Center Inc., which is geared towards assisting transgender and gender nonconforming youth and young adults, and creating this LGBTQ sports league. It's very important because these are all entities that are needed in this country, especially right now. We are seeing outrageous legislation that prohibits people like myself from being able to play sports. And so it's very important to be able to be visible and to have representation. So again, I'm just floored to have this honor and to be encrusted in the history of the school in the city. And again, I am so very sorry that I could not be there to accept this honor in person, but I look forward to doing more within the city of Lorain and working with all you all amazing people, because we have to be Lorain strong, and we have to show people that great people come out of the city of Lorain and Lorain City Schools, and we're productive and amazing human beings and people in society. And so we can't let any negative get into our brain. So again, thank you so much for this honor. And I know my sister is there and she will accept it on my behalf. And so much love to you all, and continue to do the great work. Thank you.
Accepting for Giovanni is his sister, Chantel Jackson.
Hello, everyone. I know that my brother sent in a video that he wanted to share because he could not be here today. He is currently in New York City as he is representing Athlete Ally, a company that he currently works for that is national based, in the Pride Weekend, this weekend festivities. So being from Lorain, Ohio is a source of pride for him, and for him to be able to be recognized and be involved in things on a national level is such a big deal. I'm sure he would have mentioned in the video, a large part of his work is just being authentic and living in his authenticity. And he speaks about that a lot. And just yesterday, I had a conversation with my brother about his transition and how he was really inspired to transition to be himself and invite people into who he truly was after I gave birth to my son. And when he held my son for the first time, it really motivated him to transition and to live authentically. So I just think about the work that he has done, because it has never been about himself. Even the beginning of his transition was because he was motivated by my son. And a lot of the work that he does is just that. It's of service and wanting to be able to support those around him. And I know a large part of that started with his work here as a student in Lorain City Schools, in the church growing up, and a lot of the community things that he was involved in. So it's such a privilege for him to be recognized for just being himself and his desire to support other people to do the same. So although we are very happy to be united in Lorain, I would be remiss if I did not say, go Saints.
As a teacher, you often see students with passion, and Giovanni was one of those students that you knew there were great things in his future once he harnessed that passion and decided where to direct it. Paula Scriffano was a member of the Lorain High class of 1968. Her parents, Dolores and John Scrofano, raised 6 daughters. Paula is the eldest. She began her acting career when she was cast as Maria in West Side Story at the Huntington Playhouse in Bay Village. She was 14. Locally, she sang for many gatherings, meetings, senior centers, and always accompanied on the piano by her mother. Both parents continually supported her with transportation, homemade costumes, and lots of applause. Paula credits Lorain High School choral director and legend Howard Hanson with mentoring her to earn a scholarship to Northwestern University. She went on to graduate from Northwestern's famed School of Speech and began a career that has lasted 50 years. She has performed in regional theaters from the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. to the Old Globe Theater in San Diego, California. But most of her career was spent in Chicago, where she had been seen in more than 160 productions. She has received 17 Joseph Jefferson Award nominations for her work, winning twice. In addition, she won an After Dark Award for her portrayal of Auntie Mame in Mame, and received 2 Sarah Siddon's Leading Lady Awards for Eva Peron in Evita and for Dot in Sunday in the Park with George. In 2014, after a 40-year career in Chicago theater, Paula received the Guy Atkins Chicago Icon Award for career achievement. The following year, Paula, along with her actor husband, received a special Joseph Jefferson Lifetime Award honoring hundreds of memorable performances that brought music, laughter, and tears to Chicago audiences. Her family life has been equally rewarding. Paula and her husband of more than 50 years, John Rieger, have raised 2 grown and happily married children, and recently Paula and John welcomed their first grandchild, Aiden Daniel Rieger, into the world. Please welcome Paula Scriffano to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, she was able to make it, but the next honoree is another saint. Jared Shullick is a member of the Southview High School graduating class of 2004. While at Southview, Jared's activities were numerous. Jared was valedictorian of the class, president of National Honor Society, class vice president, JROTC battalion commander, varsity soccer captain, Lorraine Sports Hall of Fame J. Ed Uland Award winner, Model United Nations member, as well as a member of the varsity football and track programs. When asked of his special memories of Southview, Jared responded that during his sophomore year, he had trigonometry with Miss Stacy Vlor. He credits her for sparking the realization that math could be useful. Following that class at Southview, as well as the United States Naval Academy, Jared says math became his go-to subject. After 4 years at the Naval Academy, Jared was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Navy. He continued his education, receiving his Navy aviator wings in 2011. He continued graduating from Air Force Test Pilot School and earning a Master of Science in Flight Engineering from the USAF Air University. Jared flew combat flights in support of Operation Enduring Freedom over Afghanistan from 2012 to 2015. While in test pilot school, Jared conducted a capstone test project, flying an F-16D alongside a C-12J with experimental shortwave infrared targeting pod, the very first airborne side-by-side test comparison of various targeting pods. Jared has also served as a developmental test pilot at China Lake, California. As the electronic warfare subject matter expert, Jared served in Iwakuni, Japan as a department head of the Strike Squadron Force 115, and he is currently stationed as a future capability officer, U.S. Indo-PACOM, and the military has more acronyms than education. He has been selected for operational commander at Sea Strike Fighter Squadron 136. Jared was named VFA 136 Pilot of the Year in 2014. Jared and his wife Jamie and their 2 daughters are stationed in Hawaii. Please welcome Jared Shullick to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame. And here to accept is his brother Justin.
Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Lieutenant Commander Jared Shullick, and I'd like to start by saying I very much appreciate and thank you for the honor of the representation in Lorain City Schools Hall of Fame. I appreciate my brother and say thank you to him for representing me there in my place. And I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about my time in Lorain City Schools and subsequent time after in the United States Navy. While in Lorain City Schools, I was privileged to be able to participate in sports such as football, soccer, and track that definitely provide the opportunity for both physical and mental fitness, as well as building teamwork skills that have paid dividends throughout my time in high school and my career. Programs in Lorain City Schools are definitely beneficial to students and were beneficial to me. Things such as Mr. Dunquait's Model United Nations, the opportunity to think of global politics at the high school level, and then to think of those politics not only from the perspective as an American, but to put yourself in the shoes of someone from another country, make that definitely a wonderful program, and it's great for students' development. Programs such as the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, or JROTC, are wonderful for students' development. The opportunity to have the early opportunities to lead, as well as early opportunities to fail, to become a better leader throughout that process, are great for student development. After high school, I was privileged to attend the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, where I studied in ocean engineering. So the mathematics lessons that I got from Miss Heberling definitely paid dividends in my career as an ocean engineer. Afterwards, I attended flight school to become an FA-18 combat pilot, flying missions in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve over the skies of Afghanistan and Iraq. Subsequently, I attended the United States Air Force Test Pilot School in Edwards Air Force Base, California, where I was able to test F-18 future weapons and software systems. Afterwards, I was a forward deployed Naval Forces pilot serving in Iwakuni, Japan. Currently, I'm serving as a requirements officer for the United States Indo-Pacific Command here in beautiful, scenic, and historic Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. My next tour is going to be the executive officer and commanding officer of VFA 136 in Lemoore, California. I'd also like to thank my parents, Richard and Cheryl, and all my family in Ohio for the support I received while I was in Lorain. It was definitely key for building the building blocks of a positive environment for success. I'd like to give a little shout out to a few teachers that were definitely important to me as I grew up. Notably Mr. Cawthon, Ms. Vore, Mr. White, Mr. Wood, Ms. Heberling, Ms. Plustolka, Mrs. Turlick, Major Brown, First Sergeant Obici, Mr. Jaworski, Mr. Bogan, and Mr. Carl Cicerella. Those teachers provided me wonderful, valuable education. I'll certainly never forget it. Additionally, while in high school, thinking it's very important that some of our friends had mutual concerns for goals and success that set the framework for success in life. Notably, some of those friends from the Magna Math Science program, Evie, Dwayne, Monica, Liz, Brittany, Tom, Luther, Sean, David. I definitely appreciate all the good times that we had then, and I'm glad we all saw ourselves to a better future. Lastly, my beautiful and intelligent wife, Jamie, thank you for all your love and support. I couldn't have done anything that I've done since having met you. And lastly, my beautiful daughters, Quinn and Sloan. I look forward to the rest of our lives growing up together, seeing through for your education as well. Again, thank you for the honor and privilege to be selected to the Hall of Fame for Lorain City Schools. I definitely appreciate it, and I'm certainly honored to be representing. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of my brother, I'd like to thank everyone here for and thank the committee for this acknowledgement. For him, it was all going to school was always a pleasure, and working with for him working doing things like working in National Festival and performing the JRTC meets. Really like one of his were something he really appreciated in doing for the school and being with everyone for it. Thank you.
One of the stated purposes of the Lorain Alumni Association is to show students at Lorain High School what's possible. And you'll see these plaques that are up here that will be placed in the school alongside the other classes of honorees. And this next honoree is kind of personal for me too, because as a young math teacher starting out in Lorain in 1984, there were people that I looked up to and wanted to be like. And Harvey Herman was one of those people. Harvey Herman originated from Cincinnati area. He graduated from Coleraine High School in Hamilton County, Ohio in 1956, where he earned 10 varsity letters plus 4 academic letters. After graduation, Harvey attended The Ohio State University and played varsity football under Woody Hayes. Boys, he got some stories. The team won a national championship in 1957. He earned his Bachelor of Science in Education in December of 1959 and then continued his education at Xavier University, earning a master's degree in guidance counseling. He later enrolled in classes at Baldwin Wallace College to earn his certificate in administration. Harvey's extensive career includes teaching at Northridge School in Montgomery County as a math teacher from 59 to 60, teaching math and science, plus coaching for the Princeton School District from 60 to 63, and then spent his remaining career with Lorain City Schools from 1964 to 1991. His tenure in Lorain provided Harvey with a multitude of experiences, beginning at Lorain High School, where he taught math and coached football. Then he was a math teacher and the first head coach for Southview when it opened in 1969, and continued his career as a guidance counselor at Whittier Junior High and Admiral King. At AK, he was the minority counselor. After retirement, he tutored math at Southview High School to help students pass state tests. He also worked as an administrator from 93 to 95 at the Harrison Alternative Academy. He served as an evaluator for Lorain School's bilingual bicultural education project and spoke at a National Association of Bilingual Education conference in 1980 in Los Angeles. Harvey wrote a remedial math textbook that was adopted by Lorain schools and used in the developmental math program. He also created a geometry honors summer school program in 1981, allowing honors math students to take an additional high-level math course. He taught the program for 10 years. Some of Harvey's special memories of teaching in Lorain are having his first All-Ohio football player at Lorain High, Tom LaForce, who went on to play at the Naval Academy, teaching several students who scored 800 in math on the SAT. That's the top. Southview beating Admiral King in 1970 when he coached, tutoring after retirement at Southview, and helping all the kids pass their math proficiency. Harvey resides in Amherst with his wife Jan. On August 3rd, they will have been married for 59 years. Their 2 children, Douglas, his wife Karen, and Becky, husband Mark, are honor graduates of Admiral King High School. Douglas is project manager for Rolls-Royce in Indianapolis, and Becky teaches math. Gee, I wonder where that came from. And volunteers as a docent at St. Mary's City. They have 4 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. One of the grandsons is a 3rd generation math teacher. Please welcome my friend Harvey Herman to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much to the Lorain School Alumni Association for this very wonderful award. Thank you very much also to Sue Bailika for her constant help in communicating back and forth. With me today to celebrate this award are my wife Jan, as Jay just said, you'll soon be married 59 years, and tell you the last 10 have been exceptionally difficult for her, as I've been very limited in my vision. Also with us are Admiral King graduates, my children Doug and Becky. Doug here with his wife Karen from Fishers, Indiana. Becky here with her husband Mark from Leonardtown, Maryland. Also 3 of the grandchildren, Andrew, the math teacher in Nashville, Tennessee. David in business from Carmel, Indiana, and Brent in business from Florida. Also, I want to thank my good friend Bob Jones and my brother-in-law Don Ramsey, who prepared my nomination form, my sister-in-law Marcia, and niece and nephew Nicole and Todd. A quick disclaimer, if I get to talk to any of you afterwards, please identify yourself by name. I, now legally blind, have been for 10 years and have not been able to recognize anybody by vision since then, and I would like very much to get to talk with many of you. Nobody goes into teaching hoping to win an award. The goal is always to help students, whether it's to achieve goals that they already have or to help set goals, or simply to prepare the student for the life beyond formal education. It's always about helping the student. My career in Lorain, as Jay said, spanned 27 years of full-time and another 7 of part-time. And those 27 years were spent basically at 4 buildings. The original Lorain High School, Southview, Whittier, and Admiral King High School. And those 4 buildings and schools have some common thread that runs through them very clearly. They've all been demolished. But remembrances of buildings are not in bricks and mortar, they're in the people, be they students, be they fellow faculty members, or events that happen during those schools. And I want to recall just a couple. One was in my first year here in 1964. I had an Algebra 1 honors class, 25 bright, hardworking youngsters, and you just knew they were going to be successful, you just didn't know in what. And who was to know that sitting in that class was a young man who eventually became a longtime Lorain City police chief, the recently deceased Sel Rivera. Also in that class, the multi-term Lorain County coroner, Dr. Steve Evans. Successful, you knew, you just didn't know in what field. The Lorain High days were most wonderful, outstanding students, outstanding programs. It was just a really enjoyable place to be. Went to Southview in '69 when it opened. As you may recall, it opened with just freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. And that enjoyable time got brought to a quick cease when the first couple football games were scores of like 50-0, and we didn't have the 50. But that kind of turned around in 1970. The juniors and seniors that year, hardworking kids who had been sophomores and juniors the year before and battle tested, added by a few sophomores. That one wonderful evening in September, when the game ended, the final score on the George Daniel Field scoreboard was Admiral King 8. No, it was Admiral King 7, Southview 8. And as unbelievable as it was probably the most significant victory in the history of Southview High School. Another interesting thing happened though at Southview, going back to our students. I was up there one day slaving away, hammering at the students about some mathematical property, and a young man raised his hand and said to me, "Mr. Herrmann, I know this math stuff's really important to you and you really want us to learn it. But all I have to do is pass this course and I'll graduate. When I graduate, I'm going to go work at the mill. My dad works there, my brothers work there, my uncles work there. and in 5 years, I'm going to make more money than you are. Well, I don't know what that young man's paycheck was in 5 years, but it did emphasize the point that in teaching, when a student has a goal, one of our goals is now to help that student make that goal, which the student did, I'm happy to say. In the interest of time, we'll slide on to the Admiral King days. And Admiral King in the 80s was an interesting place. Academically, a whole lot of things happened. The addition of the second-year chemistry class to help science-bound students. The addition of the geometry honors, as Jay recognized, to give math students chances to take more mathematics. The introduction of a full calculus class in the 85-86 school year, and then beyond. And those changes were made mainly because of teacher push and former students coming back and saying, these are the things we think you need to do. Also, there were the first courses that got dual credit, both high school credit and Lorain County community credit in that time. And the influx of computers became very great, not only in the academic area, but in the vocational areas, in the business division, and in the mechanical division with the computer-aided design courses. So things were changing rapidly, and Admiral King at that time, there were numerous championships in tennis, football, referring back to Brian and his 109-yard run at Sandusky for a great victory over Sandusky. And the championship, multi-championships in the basketball program and the trips to the Final Four. Admiral King was kind of an interesting place. And the successes there have carried over into the Lorain City Schools. So in conclusion, I'd say that as an old Buckeye, as Jay has told you about my background, an event happened in 1993 back at the big horseshoe down in Columbus that is very memorable to me and I think to the Lorain people once you know about it. In 1993, in an October afternoon, Michigan State came to town. And starting at right tackle for Michigan State was an Admiral King graduate, Brian DeMarco. Starting at tailback for Ohio State was an Admiral King graduate, Raymond Harris. Raymond was a pretty much star that day, made over 100 yards rushing and scored the winning touchdown in the fourth quarter. Now both of those young men went on to find NFL careers. Brian's now a businessman in Texas, Raymond an executive in the Ohio State Athletic Department. The significance of that was that that is the last time, and now close to 30 years, that two Lorain school products have started in a Big Ten football game on opposing teams. It happened only a couple times previous to that from 1960 on. And it certainly made an old coach and mentor sitting up in the stands exceptionally proud of their accomplishments and being exceptionally proud of the accomplishments of all the students that we had opportunities to teach. So again, I say thank you very much to the Lorain School Alumni Association for this very wonderful award. And I accept it basically in the interest of all the faculty members I had the opportunity to work with. So many of them either equally or much greater qualified for an award than I am. Thank you very much.
One of my fondest memories is a lunch after a rather lengthy, boring meeting where Harvey sat with Barry Buck and myself and explained to us how Woody Hayes taught the off-tackle lead, and he had us rolling on the floor. This concludes another event for the Alumni Association. We're grateful to all of the honorees that are here. As a school board member, now I feel qualified to speak about the state of Lorain schools, and I can tell you that the state of Lorain schools is improving. We have a wonderful leadership team with Dr. Graham and the people he has in place. We are growing. We are producing amazing things. This past June, or May rather, we graduated 49 students who had not only graduated from Lorain High School, but from Lorain Community College with associate's degrees as well. It's just growing in leaps and bounds. We have an award-winning preschool program, and if you get me talking about Lorain schools, you're gonna be here for longer than you want to be. But I just want you to know that your legacy is safe, and there are future Alumni Association honorees that are coming through our ranks. Right back there on the camera is our salutatorian from May, Parker Capronica, who will be pursuing a degree in broadcast journalism at Ohio University in the fall. And we have many, many young people to be proud of. And that you, as I say, your legacy is safe. Thank you all for attending. Be careful out there. I do believe that I can report that both bridges are open, despite the parade. So have a great day, and we thank you all so much for coming and being a part of this.